Hey, Slater Crusaders, welcome back to our special about drug overdoses in America. Particularly, we're talking about fentanyl, right? No better way to end this than these two psychologists that we have coming up right now, Dr. Jeffrey Barkey and Dr. Mark McDonald. Dr. McDonald is on the left of your screen. They're both the co-hosts of the Informed Dissent podcast. Doctors, how are both of you?
Great to be with you, Mike.
Fantastic.
Grateful you guys are here. Dr. McDonald, let's start with you. What are you seeing on the streets? What are you seeing in our hospitals when it comes to addiction all the way leading to overdoses? Paint the picture for us.
Well, I've had a practice in West Los Angeles for about 12 years now. I focus on children and adolescents, but I also see young adults and middle-aged adults. I can tell you that I have never in my entire career had a death in my practice to an overdose until mid-spring of 2020. And I've had two now. One of them was a junior high school student. The other was a young adult studying for a degree in psychology at a local university. Both were forced to stay home. Both of their school programs were shut down. In fact, one of them was kept, quote unquote, safer at home by our local mayor, Eric Garcetti. He wound up taking fentanyl from a delivery agent that brought it to his home through the Snapchat app. And while his father was making him a hamburger downstairs in the home, he took the fentanyl and collapsed on the floor. His father found him dead, face down, blue, in a pool of his own vomit at noon on a school day. This is what I'm seeing in my practice. This is a disaster. Both of them were fentanyl overdoses. Both of them were caused by government interventions, shutting down schools, keeping young people at home. So now we have, as you discussed earlier, a huge increase, an influx of fentanyl across the border, and we have the increased opportunity of use by governments intervening and keeping people away from schools, away from activities, away from their lives, that they interact with other people, which leads to isolation, depression, mental illness, and then, of course, these so-called accidental deaths. A lot of them, I think, are just deaths of despair.
Dr. Barkey, I learned earlier from our expert on fentanyl that people don't go out and want to take fentanyl. They're not like, I'm going to go take a fentanyl pill. It's laced with other things or mixed in with cut with other drugs. What are these people who you see who are dying of overdoses and get addicted to this stuff? What do they think they're doing that they end up getting fentanyl instead?
Well, here's the problem, Mike, and I'm a board certified primary care physician. I've been in practice for about 30 years, and I practice in a very affluent part of Orange County. The challenge here is fentanyl is so widely available, and it's laced in typical recreational drugs that kids routinely use. And when you lock out schools and you force kids to be at home and you remove them from their peer group, they look to experiment. And because the borders are wide open and fentanyl is coming across our southern borders, it's coming from China as well, it's readily available. Fentanyl is about 1,000 times stronger than heroin, so it can be smuggled quite easily in very small quantities. And it's laced in many of the routine recreational drugs that kids are using. So I've seen this personally. I've had family members of patients that have been found dead because they've been using their routine recreational drugs that have now been laced with fentanyl. And as a result, they die. One suitcase of fentanyl is enough to kill about 1 million people. And the number of deaths is escalating directly a result of our unnecessary, destructive policies, both as it relates to COVID and it relates to our border security. It's unfortunate. It's going on as we speak, and the Biden administration is doing nothing to address it.
No. And then when Trump did try to do something to it, he was mocked because of it. Dr. Barkey, a follow up on that. What literally happens to a person's body when they take too much fentanyl? And then what can a parent or someone expect to see if they were to be, to see their child or a friend or whoever on an overdose? What does it look like? So what happens inside and what does it look like from the outside?
Well, it's a good question. It's heroin on steroids. It's a very, very powerful narcotic. It shuts down the respiratory system and it causes cardiac arrest, and it happens very quickly. So what the parents find is a child who died very quickly from cardiac and respiratory arrest. And there's not a lot you can do unless you are witnessing it and you find them immediately as the overdose is occurring.
Wow. How quickly, if someone takes a pill with too much, what does quick mean?
Within a few minutes.
Really? Wow. Unbelievable. Hey, Slater Crusaders, thanks for watching that whole clip. We did an hour special on this, and it is mind-boggling, the whole thing, and the depths of this and the vastness of this. It's stunning. Please watch the whole special, and you'll learn so much about like the leading cause of death among 18 to 49-year-olds. How can this be? It's on the First TV app. You can download it for free right now, thefirsttv.com.